Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast. I'm just trying to check to see how the connection's going because we have over 100 people registered, and it doesn't look like LinkedIn's kind of putting that word out. So let me know if you're seeing my screen, if I got good AV going on. And I'm going to turn this off for 1 second. Just go ahead and give me a sound check if you're in here. I just want to be able to check. And then we're going to get started. I did want to give a tip for those of you showing up early and on time. And one thing, by the way, sometimes LinkedIn just has hiccups. They do new builds and features all the time, so they're putting them out. And, so when they do, the interaction happens odd. But as soon as I check in the chat and I can hear that we're good to go, I'm going to get started. But I am going to give you the tip for success for those showing up early and on time, because I appreciate that. It lets LinkedIn push the word out to everybody else. And my tip is a very straightforward tip. Make sure you go into dsbs.sba.gov. In fact, you can almost alt-tab over to a different window really quick and check to see if your company has your capability statement uploaded into the chat. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, others who are in there. You can see me and hear me on YouTube. Perfect. Thanks, Don. I appreciate that, folks. So make sure your capability statement's updated on DSBS. I'll talk about this in a minute in the training, but that's a tip of the day because I'm still watching tens of thousands of small businesses not have their capability statement or their right capability statement in DSBS. SBAs, or excuse me, 8As in particular, and that's what we're talking about today for the most part. 8A small businesses, for most of you, when the SBA put this link in to have a capability statement in DSBS, they thought they'd be generous and they added in whatever capability statement they had. And that's not a good idea because the capability statements are outdated for many of the 8A firms. An example is one of the people I was working with, and I was pointing this out, she had gotten a divorce, right? And the business had gone through these hurdles and all these kind of things. Well, the old capability statement, the old stuff, which actually brought back a lot of bad feelings, was in there. Don't let these things happen by accident. Not only was it not good for her emotionally, but more importantly, all of the contact data was going to somebody else and not to her business. And so just check, make sure that the capability statement is there, and the one that is there is the one you want to have. Okay, let me share my screen. We're going to get rocking and rolling. Actually, I'll share my screen in just 2 seconds. So one of the things that is really interesting to me about the 8A program, and I've been very fascinated by this, fascinated meaning I see it as a problem and I want to fix it for years. And 2024 is the year I'm actually going to put my head down on this particular challenge. I've been working on a lot of different challenges in the government contracting space, but 82% of 8A small businesses stop being productive after graduation. I'm going to put out some data in the coming months where you'll see many 8As, they kind of start off, they get the certification, they go up, and they kind of come down towards the last year. And then certainly in the 2, 3, 4 years that are after the coming out of the 8A, it just is almost like flatlined again. And that's a totally avoidable problem. It's what I want to teach today or talk about today is not just how you can have success in 2024, but how you can avoid some of the challenges that are out there. I pretty much believe these are risks, and risks are avoidable. You can manage them in one way or another. So we're going to talk about that. One of my favorite things I've said pretty much the whole time I've been in government contracting is that the 8A small business program is a golden ticket. A lot of us think that, right? A lot of us describe the 8A small business program as a golden ticket. The key is knowing how to cash it in, right? It is a golden ticket, but we need to know how we can cash it in, how we can turn that golden ticket into the outcome that the SBA expected, the government expected, you expected, and other 8A small businesses expected when they got there. So today I'm going to share 8 tips for proactively driving your success. Some companies have success and it kind of happens to them. I want to give you tips that drive forward. And this is the first of many, many trainings I'm going to do on the 8A program in particular, but tips for successfully driving your own success proactively and not letting it just happen to you. So I'm going to cover down on these 8 tips. First one is be collaborative with your business opportunity specialist. The second tip is going to be around targeting agencies who love 8A small businesses. Third one, this is a really important one to me, is to say no to contracts that aren't a good fit for you. so that you have room to say yes to the ones that are a good fit. The fourth one is building strategic relationships. That's the key to success in anything, in particular in government contracting, is having strategic relationships. So I'll talk about that. Number 5 is going to be about being highly visible. It does you no good to be an 8A small business, to be the best at what you do if federal buyers can't find you. So number 5 is be highly visible to federal buyers. Number 6 is to pursue 8A small businesses in their 7th year, not their 9th year. And this is a really important tip that I'm hoping you latch onto today. Number 7 is form a board of advisors. We're going to talk about meeting monthly with your board of advisors. But what are the board of advisors, right? I'm going to talk to you about how to build that, and not with random people, but with people who are directly aligned with opportunities, not just wisdom, right, from age or something. And then last one is number 8, have an easy to follow one-page strategy that guides your entire 9-year window. So it doesn't matter if you're in year 3 and 4 or something, but having a single page, I call it a strategy wheel, but a single page strategy that says this is where we're going. It really allows you to focus. These are in no particular order except for the size of the text. All right. So I just made it so they came down and looked pretty. But other than that, there's no particular order. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonnell. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training, where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process, A to Z, we're going to have repeatable, predictable results. That's what I want for you. That's what I want from your 9-year window within the 8A small business program, if you're in that program. By the way, if you are an 8A firm, do me a favor, put that into the chat. If you're not an 8A small business, but you're interested in working with 8A small businesses, just put that in the chat. The chat is your community. I bring together many, many people to network, and this is your chance to introduce yourself out there. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter. The GovCon Success newsletter is a place where I share just a ton of information out there that can help you. It continues past this training. I swear I wasn't walking outside, but I feel like I just got a fly down my throat. Too much information? No, not for live training. Okay, so make sure you subscribe to it. And then the other thing is thank you for registering. Like I said, we have over 100 people registered for today's training. We have 100 people registered for tomorrow's training and Friday's training. And so one, thank you for registering. That is a simple way that you can say thank you to us. So just let us know that you're interested in the training and that you're coming, or you intend on watching it, right? The other is if you haven't, please do so. We got 2 more trainings this week, and we'd love to be able to see you register, because when you register, LinkedIn pushes the training out to more people and lets them know that they might be interested as well. Okay, I've got about 20 minutes to dive through these 8 tips, and so we'll see how I do on time, but I'm definitely going to get through all 8, because every one of these, like I said, they're in no particular order. Every one of them is important, beginning with this first one. So the first tip I want to give you about being successful as an 8A small business is to be collaborative with your business opportunity specialist or boss, right? Don't just be compliant with these people who are part of the SBA, where you just show up once or twice a year and do your reporting, and yes, we're doing what we're supposed to do, et cetera. Be collaborative with these folks. Work with them. They're the first step of your advisor board, right? Business opportunity specialists are on your board of advisors, right? And the idea is that it's an unofficial board of advisors. So you don't have to make it formal, but they're wanting to see you succeed. That is their whole job, is to help small businesses succeed, in particular business opportunity specialists drive and work with 8A businesses. So get in there and collaborate with them. And some of the ways you can collaborate with them is make sure you meet with them once a month. Do you mind if I just touch base once a month? 5-10 minutes if I got something on my mind, or just touch base, et cetera. But start building that relationship. If you do that once a month, you will always be top of mind to that business opportunity specialist. So when a federal buyer comes into the SBA and says, hey, we're interested in an 8A small business that could do this, that literally could turn into a $4 million set aside or direct award. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing it, but the whole point is the more people who know what you do and know how they can reach you or how federal buyers can reach you, the more chance that you'll have that buyers will reach out to you. So when you meet with your boss for 5 to 10 minutes a month, you're maintaining that relationship. Get them to guide you and give you advice. That's what you really want to do. Hey, I've been doing this. Do you have any advice for me in February as we go through February? Yeah, I would recommend you go into DSBS and add your capability statement. Okay, thanks a lot, business opportunity specialist. I'll see you in March. And when you come back, you say, hey, thanks for telling me. I put it up there. It's great. It was missing, so now I've got it in there. Thanks for giving me that advice. What advice do you have for me in March? Right? Get guidance from them. These people are experts in their field. If they see you doing what they tell you to do, then they're going to give you more advice. And then the last thing is understand their process. Ask them, really ask them to explain their process for how they work with contracting officers to maybe get things to push to direct side or direct award. How they work with different agencies and other federal buyers, how they could help you make introductions or help introduce you into buyers. And then also check in with them and go, look, I want to be one of your best 8A small businesses that you've worked with, right? So what can I avoid in particular? What's some of the traits that you wish small businesses like mine don't do so that I make sure I don't do that? Begin to learn that and begin to also learn the opposite, which is, what makes a really good 8A small business in your eyes? Well, the ones that do what we say or something. So be collaborative with your business opportunity specialists. The next one is target 8A agencies federal agencies who love 8A small businesses. I've done many trainings on this. I think you can go to my website at govconchamber.com/8A and you'll see this whole set of articles in there. It's in our newsletter. If you're subscribed to our newsletter, you'll find an article that just lays out all this information about which agencies actually love 8As. But my point is, look for agencies that exceed their goal. You don't want to find an agency that's not hitting an 8A goal, which is kind of hard for the 8A program. But if they're not hitting their goal, they don't really care. But if you find an agency that's exceeding their goal, it's not like they're going, oh, we gave 10% to 8As. We don't want to give 11%. They're not even thinking about that. The only time they know that they gave 10% away was after the fiscal year is over. Then they go back. An individual contracting officer in the Army or FEMA or something is not looking at USA spending and saying, oh, hey, we've got too much going to 8As. And so look for agencies that are exceeding their goals, because what that tells you is they love working with 8A small businesses. And the way you know that is because they keep awarding to 8A small businesses. You can validate all that love on USA spending. Just go into USA spending, and I've shown a lot of training on how to do this. But basically, you go into USA spending and say FY 2023, the contract type is contracts, and then go down to the bottom and say set aside 8A sole source, 8A set aside, and see what comes up. And you will see the agencies, Army, sitting at the very top. The last tip about this is you don't want to be convincing agencies to work with 8As. Hey, you can reach us this way and that way. You don't want to be doing that. You want to go to some agency that already believes in the value of an 8A small business. And then you're just convincing them that you're the best choice, right? That you're worthwhile for a direct award, et cetera. Okay, so another tip for 8A small businesses on how to succeed is to make sure you're saying no or no thank you, right, to contracts that are not in your sweet spot. I describe every company has a clear focused offer that includes a slam dunk opportunity. What you're good at. My last company, we were good at Microsoft SharePoint. That was our slam dunk opportunity. We might expand a little bit into the Microsoft stack, what they call Microsoft 365, but nothing else. And the challenge 8A companies have with is the generosity of people who are out there. Sometimes they come along and say, oh, hey, why don't we give you this contract and this one? And the next thing you know, you might have in your 9-year window 20, 30, 50 contracts that are all unrelated. You want to make sure you're building all related past performance, because not only over the 9-year window, but as you keep building experience. I did this on SharePoint so much to the point that when I had opportunities I was pursuing, I would compete against Microsoft, who owned SharePoint, because we had 100,000 user environments within the Air Force, for example, that we supported. We supported the White House or DHS. And so we had solid past performances that began with little teeny ones that got a little bigger and bigger. And that goes to my second bullet. Make sure you're asking for what you want. When you talk to a contracting officer, you talk to somebody like me, you talk to teaming partners, make sure you say, hey, this is our core competency. If somebody brings you an opportunity and says, it's over here, you want to sit there and say, no, thank you. I really appreciate you considering us. Would you mind if I sat down and just kind of explained what we do sell or what we do want to sell? That way, if you see some of those, we keep thinking if we don't take this, we're not going to get anything else. But the problem is, if we take a bunch of things, pretty soon we're not going to be able to go after anything because we won't have that 8A ticket anymore. So learn to say no thank you to contracts and then ask for what you want. Okay, so next one is as you move forward, this is for all businesses, but today's 8A small businesses, build 24 strategic relationships. If you want to have success in the 8A program, build 24 strategic relationships. These are different, and you can watch a lot of training I've done on this. These are different than just normal relationships, even teaming partners that you have where you worked on one opportunity or something. A strategic relationship is mutual growth. It's where both sides agree to mutual growth. With an agency, the mutual growth is their ability to understand more about what you're an expert at. You're helping them really understand. You're their trusted advisor, and they're helping you understand their needs more. They're talking about their goals, the vision for future, right? And so that's a mutual relationship within the government. It takes time to get those. When you go to a matchmaking event, those are not strategic relationships. Those are just people you're meeting. They're the network, etc. But a strategic relationship is like a close friendship. You can't have that many because they require a good amount of energy for you to be caring about them and for them to be caring about you. So I suggest that you have, let's say the Army is your target agency. I suggest you identify 8 strategic partners within, or strategic relationships within the Army. This could be the CIO, right? Or it could be a direct report of the CIO, or it could be a direct report of a direct report of the CIO. I don't care where it's at. That's up to you for your business, but you figure out where in that agency can I find somebody. I would be targeting a really good small business professional as a strategic relationship. Somebody in the contracting shop as a really strategic relationship, right? And then program office type personnel. But it's important to build agency strategic relationships. So 8 of those, and then large and small primes. You just want to find the winners in the Army, for example, and find 8 that you like that align to what you sell as larges and as small primes, and begin to reach out, right? You might reach out to 50 of them until you find the 8 strategic relationships where they also believe in mutual growth. Another tip for 8A small businesses to have success as you're going through that 9-year window is to be visible, highly visible to federal buyers. So many companies are invisible to federal buyers. I put here that 50% of 8A small businesses are virtually invisible to the federal buyers where they look. Buyers, I just put out a post today, and I talked about a customer of mine, of ours that we have that is an 8A small business, and how the Air Force found them. They just did this last week. And it was really straightforward, right? They came in and they said, I got a need. They went into DSBS. They searched for a NAICS code. They got thousands of businesses. So it was too many. So they tried a keyword. Then they didn't find anybody because it was too niche down. So then they tried a niche word a little higher, and they found about 100 companies. From those companies, they reached out and sent an email. Our customer was the only one who responded. And then we're able to set up a meeting, not only set up a meeting, but to move it forward. All that happened, though, because they are visible, right? They just happen to be really visible because they worked with us, but you can do this yourself. I have an entire course on how to be visible just in DSBS alone that's free out there, right? So go to YouTube or watch one of my 400 videos and you will see me describe how to be visible to federal buyers. I think I literally did it this week or last week. But the idea is to fully populate your profile, your small business profile in DSBS. That's the dynamic small business search, #1 search tool for the government buyer. Agencies like HHS or the Navy at different parts, they have their own supplier portals, and then largest have their own supplier portals. And so the idea is you want to be fully populating those profiles in there. I just did a training about HHS yesterday, and I showed how I think there's 11,000 women-owned small businesses, SBA-certified 11,000, but only 3,000 are in HHS. That means 8,000 companies are not even in HHS where the buyer looks, right? And DSBS, same kind of thing. A lot of us are in there, but we're invisible because we don't use the right keywords. So get in there and make sure you're populating those profiles. And the last tip on being highly visible is to respond to RFIs and sources sought. Make sure you look at, let's say the Army I'm going after, that I'm responding to every RFI and sources sought that is in my sweet spot, and maybe a little bit of a stretch outside. So for example, if I do SharePoint, I might respond to a bigger RFI and say, well, I don't do all that, but I do this really well, and that's part of the contract. We on the sales side, those of us in the industry, highly advocate that you respond to sources sought RFIs. Gets you in the door. Okay, so the next tip, and I think this is number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 6. This one is a really cool tip for me that I just did naturally, but I thought everybody was doing this, and then I began to realize they don't. A lot of us 8A small businesses, when we become an 8A or when we're an 8A, we are told, or we think about this ourselves. We're like, let's look at 8A small businesses that are graduating out of the 8A program because they got 8A contracts probably, and they probably want to sit there and help somebody else get them where they can get a piece of it, and a new 8A becomes the prime. Totally normal kind of a thing. But for most 8A companies doing that, they're focusing on the 8As that are graduating this year, for example. We call that a red sea. It's a very crowded sea. It's bloody because everybody's biting everybody. And every 8A graduate's getting like 100 small businesses or 8A small businesses calling them and saying, hey, let's see if there's a partnership. What I'm suggesting is you focus on those companies in year 7, maybe even year 6, right? And this is a blue sea because everybody is looking at the contracts that are about to expire. But think farther out. You've got a long journey ahead of you. So focus on the companies that are 7 years out, 6-7 years out. I think there's in 2025, for example, there's like 500-600 companies that are graduating. So you could think 600 to 1,000 graduate every year, 600 to 800 every year. So that's a lot, but focus in year 7 and you get them before anybody else is thinking. And the last thing I put there is don't ask them for anything. Get in there, build a relationship. We want to work together with an 8A. Offer, hey, we're going after 8A things. I'd love to team up with you. If it makes sense for you to prime, great. These are the strategic relationships I would be trying to build, right? For 8As, I might even say those 8 strategic relationships should all be 8A companies. Not that they have to be, right? Because you can find an 8A who's also an SDVO. But if they're an 8A and you target them in year 7, now you're beginning to build relationships with people a couple of years out before their opportunities or their contracts come up for recompete. A tip for 8A small business government contractors who are trying to have success in the 9 years is don't go it alone, right? Meet monthly with the board of advisors. And so the first thing is, let me tell you what I mean when I say board of advisors. It just means people who are willing to help you and want to see you succeed and will begin to learn and retain a little bit of knowledge about your company. There's formal advisors and there are informal advisors. And I'm talking about the informal ones. I call these folks the 7 mentors in government contracting. And you can read a lot of material I have on our website. We have a directory of 1,000 small business specialists, over 100 SBLOs or small business liaison officers for large firms. And in there, we also talk about the 7 mentors. But I have many, many training sessions that you can go look at. I've done over 400 trainings just in the last 2 years alone, and I've talked about 7 mentors. So you can find a lot of replays on that. But these 7 mentors are people like the business opportunity specialist I mentioned, the procurement center representative, PCR, at an SBA office, the SBA district office, or if you're also a HUBZone, for example, maybe that person. But in the SBA, you can find 1, 2, maybe even 3 advisors that you're just touching base with them. Remember what I said about the boss, touch base with them once a month, 5 to 15 minutes at the most, and you can maintain some good relationships. Other ones are your PTAC counselor. Make sure you're reaching out to the PTACs. Those folks have got a real strong commitment to helping small businesses succeed. And the biggest thing they value in small businesses is ones who do what they say. So if you get in there, meet with your advisor, and they say, hey, we think you should do this, you go, oh, great, thanks. Let me go look at it. Don't let them change your business. But if they say things like you don't have enough NAICS codes in SAM, or you're not using keywords, whatever it is, strengthen up your capability statement. But when you reach out to these type of people, you can quickly build a set of 7 to 10 board of advisors. And you want to treat these people as if they're formal board of advisors, but they're unofficial board of advisors. And what I mean by this is don't take them for granted. Make sure you're talking to them and saying, I really would like to stay in touch with you once a month. Do you mind if I follow up every month? Just 5-10 minutes, touch base, say, this is what I'm doing. Do you got any thoughts? And just make sure I'm staying on your radar. A lot of these folks, by the way, they'll have their own trainings, virtual trainings, just like the one I'm doing. Attend them, especially if they're virtual. You could multitask, even though don't do it here, but other people's training, do it on theirs. But you could show that you're committed to building a relationship with a PTAC office or an SBA office, et cetera. I kind of dismissed these advisors when I was running my business, and it was one of the biggest mistakes I made because these people know buyers. And I was like, oh, I'll go out and talk to buyers. It's like, why on earth am I recreating the wheel when these people are experts at this and want to see me succeed? And so I highly encourage you to meet monthly with a board of advisors. The last thing I have for you is have an easy to follow one-page strategy. If you're an 8A small business on the 9-year journey in that program and you want to have success, Don't let success just happen to you. Don't go in without any kind of plan, etc. I have an entire wheel, and I might actually try to show it to you in 1 second if I have enough time here. But the idea is to be able to, with one single page, communicate a few things, 3 main things, right? So you're going to start with your sales goal in the middle. Hey, we want to make $5 million in sales this year. Perfect. And then around the outside, it's a pie type graphic. We call it a wheel. It's got wedges, etc. But you want to list out 3 main things. Who am I selling to? The agencies that I want to sell to. That's really important. It tells you 2 things. One is that you're not going to have too many. You do not want to be selling to more than 2 or 3 departments at the absolute most. Anything more than that, you're just spreading yourself too thin and you're chasing yourself around. Plus, you're not really building any past performance within an agency if you're bouncing it around many places. Compared to, imagine if you went all in on the Army and went into 3 different commands and all of your past performance was in the Army. The Army would love to work with a company like yours because you're risk-free pretty much. They can trust you. You know the Army, they know you, you've all worked together. So anyways, but you list out the target agencies, et cetera. Another one is the companies you'll subcontract under. And so remember I said 16 relationships. They tend to tie to the companies you're trying to go out to and team up with. And I don't mean team up on an opportunity, but team up to go after 25 or $50 million in growth over the next 10 years, 9 years. And so you want to list the companies that are winning in your target agency and say, those are who I want to go after. Anytime one of those companies doesn't pan out, they're not cooperative, whatever it is, take them off, put a new one on. But you keep 16 companies on there and say, those are who we want to subcontract. Not accidentally with whoever we run into, but these 16 we value for this reason, we're going to chase them. And the last thing is, what does your company sell, right? Just having a wedge on the wheel that communicates, this is what we sell. This is our core competency. For example, if I was looking at my company last time, it was Microsoft SharePoint. We might say SharePoint development, SharePoint administration, and SharePoint migration, right? Migration, administration, and development. Those 3 wheels. And then I could expand a little bit on what those are. But it makes it really clear to align, here's what we sell, here's who we want to sell it to, and here's who we're going to work with to subcontract and team up with. When you do that, you're really driving forward towards a strategic approach to success, a proactive approach to success. Actually, I don't have enough time to show you, so let me just tell you, inside of the training, maybe somebody can put it, I have an entire training just on how to create a one-page strategy. If you want that, just put something in the chat that says one-page strategy, please, and we'll let you know where that training is. Okay, so here's what I want you to remember coming out of this training, because I gave you 8 big tips, right? So subscribe to my newsletter, and if you do, you'll see that I'll put out in the next couple of days what I just taught, those 8 tips, and then I'll put it together as a checklist with links and everything on how you can do all this on your own, how you can go out and add keywords, how you can go into building relationships, how you can find the agencies that love you, et cetera. So when I put that article out, if you're subscribed, you'll get notified. Otherwise, just watch for it on LinkedIn. And then the last thing is just let me know if you need help on this. 8A Small Businesses, the 8A program, is a golden ticket for small businesses. And you can have the success you want by following the process that I talk about, following the tips that I just shared today. And as you move forward, if you want some help, let me know. Remember, we've done over 400 trainings just in the last 2 years alone on almost every single topic you can think of around sales, about how to get in the door, et cetera. And so go look at that training. Most of the questions you ever have can be answered in there, and it's a lot of good content. If you're looking for help accelerating the growth of your company, just check out our Business Development Accelerator workshop. You can find that on govconchamber.com/workshop. We'd love to help you grow in the federal market. If you're at a certain stage and you want to go further, let us know. For everybody, just remember, government contracting, it's not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.